Good morning, everybody. It's the 7th of January 2019 here on the Step by Step Listening page. For those that don't know me, I'm Cheryl Andrews, the founder, and we are a community that are committed to developing non-judgmental listening so that you can get clarity of what you want and the confidence to ask for it. And really, the most important thing is to be able to actually manage yourself, time, and other people through times of change. So today we're talking about why is it that we lose focus with goals after about 6 weeks? Well, the first thing is that's a massive assumption, and not everybody will do after 6 weeks. But typically for my days at Slimming World, and I'm sure you yourself have set New Year's resolutions, there will be a certain period of time. So I want you to be aware of that. These are the time monsters I'm talking about. You will have your own unique time profile. You'll have your own unique time patterns. So for you, you might lose focus with a goal after 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 2 days. Other people might be 3 months, but generally speaking, as an average, what we used to see as a pattern in Slimming World was that by middle of February, people would have been able to commit to whatever their goal was, whether it's doing more sales calls, doing better follow-up, being more engaged with your team, whether it's losing weight, whatever your goal or aspiration is, doing more networking, being more on more live videos, doing more blogs, whatever you decide you want to do more of. Generally speaking, we have a period of time where we can just really push against what is naturally the way of doing things. And that's how we can create change. And the truth is, the more we practice the new thing, then that becomes the normal way of doing it. However, if it's all happening intellectually, i.e. you're, let's say, for example, you want to lose weight, so you decide not to drink alcohol. And so you focus on not having alcohol. A lot of that will be to do with mindset. It'll be to do with willpower, having to really, really convince yourself that you don't want to do it. Whereas actually, why I love clean language as a process is when you start to really look at the thing that you want and you start to ask questions about it, you get clarity and confidence, and you get the whole of your system involved. So one of the things you can do is to think about the thing I call it is the Meeting of the Minds is by Helen Monahan, and I've developed that further with my own learning. It's just checking in with your head and thinking, what would your head like to have happen? And just notice whether the goals that you set yourself are very head orientated. So you might have money goals, and they might be very much about, it's very analytical, it's very logical, I need to earn this amount of money. Then check with your heart. What would your heart like to have happen? What would your gut like to have happen? What would your soul like to have happen? And what would your body like to have happen? And the reason for doing this is because you might be, when you're setting a goal at the beginning of the year, is you might be setting yourself a goal that only part of you has bought into. Now, if you need the other people, so it's your family members to support you, whether you need your team in business to be behind you in your goals, you can't get them to be behind you if you, the whole of you, isn't behind it in the first place. So one of the reasons why we lose focus is because we weren't 100% committed to it in the first place. Part of us knew it was a good idea, but we were still having this critic conversation inside. And therefore what happens is the time monsters start to debate whether or not you should be doing it or you shouldn't be doing it. So should you be going forward? So the time monsters go, yeah, you'll keep working, keep pushing, to the one that's saying, no, you need to rest, you need to take time back. So how do you get out of this dilemma is ultimately write down today what it is you want to have happen in 2019. Get those words and just ask yourself questions like, what kind of is that? Is there anything else about that? And make sure that you are saying what you mean what you say, and more importantly, that you're not being mean when you say it. So for example, I don't know, maybe you need to be more assertive as a boss, or maybe you need to be more patient as a parent, or maybe you need to be more focused if you're looking for personal goals like weight loss, etc. And I want you to think about, when you say it, is there any dialogue that goes on afterwards? Do you say because you're really irritable, or because you lack focus, or are you giving yourself some criticism afterwards? And listen to that, because it's worth listening to. Often people do very positive, very forward focused planning without actually looking at what could go wrong. Listen to that voice and ask questions. Is there anything else about that not being very patient? And because there's lessons in there to be learned. And when you can actually ask questions of the whole system and get clarity of it, so that eventually you're telling a story that's about you and what you want, and you truly, the whole of you truly believes in it, that's when you have created a goal that that you will get behind. And confidence will be maintained with that goal setting if you have a way of measuring it. So you have a feedback loop that's going to work for you. So there's no point just doing it without any way of measuring progress. Some things will take longer than others, and again, the time monster will get impatient. So if you want to generate 100,000 in your business this year, and you only earned 22,000 last year, there's a big jump. So it's thinking about what will be the steps. So if you haven't got a plan and you haven't got something, you're not going to go from 22 to, so 1,500 a month to 10,000 a month in 1 month, unless you have got a strategy to do that. If you don't know the process, then you will lose confidence. You'll lose your system will start to say, hey, this doesn't look right. This, I can't see, or I can't imagine, or I can't visualize, can't sense how that's going to happen. So start to look at the plan of how you're going to do that, and then think of the things that you can measure that can tell you whether you're on track or not. Now, there'll be the downside with this sometimes is we're only ever measuring the statistical stuff. So like when the book writers, the authors might do a number of words they've written. But actually, some of the process is about thinking. Some of the process is about talking to people and getting ideas. Some of it's about building inner confidence and clarity inside. And so they're sort of more less tangible senses. So how will you measure whether you're on track or not? So I'll go back to weight loss because it's one of the things at this time of year, or fitness. So you may not lose weight as quickly, but when you eat the right food, do you feel better? Do you feel stronger? Do you feel cleansed? Do you feel lighter? Do you have more clarity? Do you have more confidence in yourself? And if not, then think about how you're processing, how your critic's talking to you. Because if you are sort of almost punishing yourself that you're going to go without this food, then you haven't got a goal that the whole of you believes in. If you're giving up stuff like chocolate, alcohol, cakes, if you're giving up time off, say in the business, whatever you're sacrificing, whatever you're getting rid of, if you have not got a big enough why as to why you want the other thing, it will just be a constant battle inside. You'll have a conversation with yourself. And when other people criticize you or other people don't support you, you can't stand your ground. You can't speak with clarity and confidence because you've already got a battle going on inside with yourself. So that's my short video for today. I hope that helps for you. So I want you to think about, so step one, get really clear about what you want, clarity, write down the outcome, and then ask yourself questions like what kind of. Notice if you're saying what you mean, if you mean what you say, and you're not being mean when you say it. Step two, confidence. Make sure that you understand the process. Okay, make sure you understand what is the first thing that needs to happen and then what happens. And lastly, change. How will you measure the change and how will you celebrate that change? And that's often why we have coaches and why we have mentors, is we need people around us catching us getting things right, noticing when things are changing so that we can actually celebrate that as we go along. Good morning, DL. Happy New Year. Lovely for you to join me. I'm just about to wrap up. We're just talking about why do we lose focus with goals after 6 weeks. So I hope you get to look at the replay. But ultimately, I want to leave you with this, is get clarity of what you want, the confidence in the way that you do it. What's your plan? What's your strategy? And then make sure that you've got a way of measuring change and you've got people that are going to support you and help you notice the changes going on. And if you've got time monsters that are saying, oh, I don't have time to think about what I want, or I've got a time monster that goes, oh, I don't know how to do it, or nothing changes, I keep doing this stuff, and you've got time monsters and critics and all that conversation going on inside, that it's not leaving you completely focused, real, absolute clarity and focus and direction for the year ahead, then please do join the 1 hour time monster mastery session today on Eventbrite. The link is in the status. Come and join me. Register now. You'll get the link sent out to you 1 hour before the course starts. Come and join me on Zoom and let's have a chat. Let's find out what your time monsters are saying. Let's listen to the story they've got to do and look at how we can change those stories in order to be really focused on what you want for the year ahead. Lots of love. Speak to you soon. Can't wait to see you. And DL is also running the author's journey on the 1st of February with us. So if you've ever thought about doing an audiobook and you want to experience that and try that out, then do join us on the 1st of February. DL, if you want to pop the link in the comments, that would be great. Lots of love to everybody. Speak to you soon.